What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. We're going to do a quick one for you here today, maybe 15 minutes. Player prop bets to consider for tomorrow. Jesse, how are we doing today?
Hey man, we're doing good today. It's another good week where the playoffs are looming. You know, 4 weeks to go.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is here. The holidays are here. It's getting colder, so a little more run game reliance potentially. We'll see how things go.
And we got some big teams back from bye, Kansas City, Philadelphia, and Miami. So that's exciting. Last week we had a good week. We went 8 for 10 on our prop list. If you guys were tailing, you had fun. And we hit the big one. We hit the big Brock Purdy over 1.5, and we hit the Debo and Ayuk touchdown. So that one felt really fun. Even George Kittle got a touchdown in that game. So you could have bet on anything that
Crazy.
would have worked except CMC touchdown. That moves our record up to 56% on the year. We made a list of 10 props that we're going to share with you today. We'd like to hit, I think, 7. I think 7's a good number for us this week, and we feel pretty confident about this list. So here is the list. You guys can, I'm going to put a link in the description and a link in the comments if you guys want to look at the list, and there's a bunch of bets to consider. But this is our top 10. Jesse, David Montgomery, anytime touchdown, minus 145. Tell us why it happens.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing each other this week in our main league, and I'm going against David Montgomery, against you, and it's just a smash play. It's Chicago. It's the revenge narrative that we love to see. It's David Montgomery, who is just scoring touchdowns at a really high clip. It's a Detroit offense that's humming right now. A Bears defense that is improving, but is still susceptible to getting scored on in multiple ways. So it's David Montgomery, probably for multiple touchdowns this week.
The revenge David Montgomery game. I love it. And then the fact that he pulled himself out so Jahmyr Gibbs could get a touchdown last week, and the universe gave him a
It's the
70
karma, right?
run. So I think Montgomery's a good one. I also want to note, we didn't put it on the list, but they have Montgomery at 49.5 rushing yards, which I feel pretty strongly about that one hitting. We like the Lions offense a lot in this game, so lean into those Lions props. Austin Eckler, minus 145 against the Packers team that's pretty leaky against running backs here. And the fact that it's basically Eckler and Keenan Allen and Herbert on this team, Eckler's going to get the ball a ton. Eckler's going to score tomorrow.
Nothing more to say there. This Green Bay defense has struggled against the run.
That game we were talking before we went live, the Packers-Chargers game, I have a feeling that one's going to be pretty fruitful for both sides. And you'll see we have a prop later that we like in the Packers side here. But I like Eckler and Keenan Allen to move the ball. The Packers secondary, not great. The running game, not great. And then you have the Chargers defense, which is not great. So this leads us to maybe a 50-point total in this one. I think one of the teams could hit 30 points. Should be a fun game. And then we got Brian Robinson here, anytime touchdown, minus 110. Tell us why Brian Robinson scores.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you noted right away, like minus 110, that seems a little too low. This is Brian Robinson featured back week. No Antonio Gibson. He's doubtful to play. Chris Rodriguez, maybe just not trustworthy yet there in Washington. So Brian Robinson against the New York Giants, the home game. This has got to be maybe Washington's most favorite, like highest favorited game in a long time. Are they like minus 11.5 points? So they're going to rely on Brian Robinson to get through this, get the win, the divisional win. And, just like David Montgomery, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a 2-touchdown game.
And I think everyone is pretty surprised at his receiving ability this year. He didn't show us that last year.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's catching, I think he's got maybe 3 receiving touchdowns on the year. Last week, I think he went over 100 receiving yards. Like, he's a good receiving back. And with no Gibson, we're going to see him maybe get the ball north of like 20 touches, I think, in this one. So I like it. Again, you mentioned they're double-digit home favorites. That just sounds like running back touchdowns to me. So
Ron Rivera, ground and pound.
Yeah. And then we got a little funky with the Cheese Whiz in this one. I was looking at longest receptions, and I did put a list on the very bottom if you guys scroll to the bottom. But Christian Kirk, Jesse, is he going to go over 21.5 for his longest reception tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, this is something new. Throw it on the site. We look at a couple of these. We thought about Tyreek Hill over 27.5, and his was the highest number on the board. Took a second look. Saw my fan favorite Christian Kirk. He's hit 21.5 longest reception every single week except week 1 against the Colts, where he had 1 catch for 9 yards. So assuming that he's not getting 1 catch for 9 yards, Christian Kirk over 21.5 seems like a pretty good number. Against the Tennessee Titans, that while they limit touchdowns and scoring, they do give up a ton of receiver yards. So we like Christian Kirk this week over 21.5 longest reception.
People usually think of Christian Kirk as like the slot PPR guy, but he gets deep and like
Yeah.
some of the
He's got
longest
speed.
receptions. Like you read it. Did you read the list of like his longest receptions? He's got a bunch in the 30s and a bunch in the 40s, I believe.
Yeah, we
Uh,
got, I
so
mean, just quick run through the list. It's 39, it's 29, 44, 29 again, 30, 30, 26, 45. So he's not just beating that 21 and a half number. He's like pretty handily
yeah,
getting those.
and Tennessee, no Bayard anymore at safety. So a not so good unit without arguably who was their best player on that side of the ball, not there. We'll move on to Sam Laporta here. He's at 43 and a half receiving yards. It's minus 115. I think the thing that locked us into this bet was people were taking his over receptions. Let me just double check this number real quick for you. I have to go all the way down here. Where was those receptions? People were taking him over 4.5. So they're giving him 5 catches. So Jesse, why do we like Laporta to hit 43 and a half?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a steady rookie tight end that's been playing really well in against the Bears defense that, they will give up points to the tight end. They have, pretty consistently given up those points. I think they're somewhere in the ballpark of, 492 yards, on the season, which I think averages out to right around 46 yards a game. So it's at a number, and it's Sam Laporta who's outpacing that number to begin with. So it's a number we like, and we like a couple rookie tight ends this week.
I mean, if you give him 5 catches, he's going to hit. I would like to think he gets 9 to 10 yards per catch at minimum. So 5 catches, 45 to 50 yards. It's kind of the floor, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes well over that. Our next bet here, we're talking about when we were talking about Eckler and his touchdown and how the Chargers defense is probably the worst defense in the league right now. They can't stop anybody. Jordan Love at 228 and a half passing yards. He hit it last week against the Steelers on the road, so I like that note. And then he was at 228 and 229 in the 2 games before. But man, you talk about how bad the Chargers are defensively. Jordan Love at home. Offense is perking up the last couple weeks here. So Jesse, we like 228 and a half, yes?
Yeah, it's one of those. Love hasn't really shown it, but the Chargers have allowed it every single week. They've given up 232 to Badge, and they've given up 238 to Aiden O'Connell. I mean, this is a defense that is leaky all around. So I think we love to, again, a good game environment.
Yeah.
Chargers are great for fantasy, great for props, overs. I mean, it's just a fruitful environment.
Yeah, the game script I think is very exciting. You're going to see it on Red Zone channel often. Another passing props. We got a little bit unique this week. We usually lean into those touchdowns and some of the receptions, but we put up another quarterback passing yards here. Brock Purdy 257 and a half minus 115. We really struggled trying to pick a 49ers bet that we like because we feel very good about the 49ers offense tomorrow. Obviously CMC is probably going to score, but you talk about Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle. It's so freaking hard to pick those guys each week. So we kind of thought it makes the most sense to just take Brock Purdy, who gets points through all of those weapons. 257 and a half is pretty low. Tampa Bay gives up yards. Jesse, do you have any stats for us that help us convince that Purdy's going over?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big one is just looking at Purdy's last 3 weeks, looking at Purdy with Debo Samuel in general. Purdy with Samuel, that's when the offense is humming and at its best. He's getting all of his 300-yard games with Debo. Last 3 weeks, 296 with Debo back, even 365 the week before without Debo. So he's at a good stretch. He's playing good ball. I think people kind of saw the turnovers those weeks that Debo was out, and they were like, "Oh, he's throwing interceptions. Maybe he's not as good as we thought, but the numbers were still really good."
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side of the ball, looking at Tampa Bay's defense, they pretty much allowed this numbers to any relatively good or above average quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, they were able to limit Fields, Derek Carr, who got hurt in that game, Will Levis, and Desmond Ridder got 250 against them. Every other quarterback is close to the 300-yard number. I mean, you have Goff over 300, Allen over 300, CJ Stroud, we know he did 470-yard a game, Kirk Cousins 344. So against a good, like you said, a good offense that we didn't really know to single in on one player. So let's just take the whole,
Number 8 is Dalton Kincaid over 48 and a half receiving yards. It's minus 115. I think it was very, very similar to the Sam Laporta, where his reception totals was at 4.5, and that was getting hit the over. So we like 48 and a half here. Talk about going up against the Jets. That's a very good defense. So there might be some dinking and dunking going on here. And Kincaid, I believe, has just been the last month, maybe 5 weeks. he's been on fire. So Jesse, 48.5 receiving yards, Dalton Kincaid, yes.
Yeah, we saw under 50 and we liked it. I mean, last 3 weeks, them coming out of the bye, last 4 weeks out of the bye, he's hitting that number every single time. He's crested 50 yards. I see no reason why he shouldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
he's good. He's just good with the ball in his hands, and he catches everything that's thrown his way. So
And still no Dawson Knox, so continue to lean into Kincaid. Tell people that the Tony Pollard panic is finally over.
this is the regression bet of the week, no doubt. He has not scored since week 1. He has 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. The Cowboys' offense is humming. It's buzzing. Dak is throwing multiple touchdowns. He's carrying the team right now. They're going to need Tony Pollard to balance things out and kind of create a little bit more, flow with this offense. And he's going to score touchdowns. This is still a good offensive line. He's still a good running back. For whatever it's just for whatever reason, they get to the red zone, they just not able to punch it in. Um, this is simply put, he's due against one of the worst teams against running backs. They've given up 16 running back touchdowns on the year. It's Tony P time. Start him with confidence. Minus 120 touchdown. This should be minus 200 probably.
And it's the Carolina Panthers. It's in Carolina. I believe they're double-digit road favorites. So
yeah.
Pollard. They got Rico one last week. They're getting Tony one this week. And then, man, we really struggled to pick a Dolphins prop that we like because we love the Dolphins offense. We were looking at 2 over 1.5 passing touchdowns, but that was minus 190. So take that if you want a free 50% bet. But like Tyreek, all of his numbers were pretty high. I do like his numbers, but just the betting odds were not very good numbers for your wallet. Mostert came out to be our favorite touchdown guy here at minus 155. He's had 2 games where he hasn't scored a touchdown all year. I get Achane is back, but Jesse, Mostert just gets touchdowns, and he's fresh off a bye week. I think we're going to see Mostert at his best here.
Yeah, this is fresh off the bye. This is like, we know he's older, he's slowing down, but like he's still scoring touchdowns at a good clip, and he's got that extra week of rest. Achane's back, so he's probably going to get the high value touches that you want anyway. So like, you should probably be starting him in fantasy. He's probably going to score at least 1 touchdown. Achane is plus 105, so if you are interested in like a little Achane fun touchdown, I just think it's first week back. There's no reason to rush him. A game against Las Vegas at home, that they should be rolling this one.
So we like the Dolphins in this one a lot. Jesse, we have maybe 2 or 3 minutes left. Did you have any final thoughts? Any bets that you think almost made the list that you'd want to mention? Anything on your brain?
We talked about in the Jaguar game, we talked about potentially taking T-Law over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That was minus 105, and kind of doing what we did last week with Brock Purdy, where you go take the Brock Purdy over 1.5 and then take his 2 favorite weapons. So if you want to get frisky and consider something like that, I think the T-Law TD regression is due. The knee issue, it's maybe an issue, it's maybe a non-issue. We're not really sure, but we know Evan Ingram hasn't scored yet this year. Kirk is scoring at an okay clip against the Tennessee Titans defense that's good, not great, give up yards. So maybe they're due for some TD regression as well. So it's kind of like, we talk about this regression term a lot. So I kind of like the T-Law over 1.5. Take Ingram, take Kirk, or take maybe Ridley if you're feeling that.
Take all 3. Take all 3.
yeah, and you get 2 out of 3. You're looking really good.
So, yeah, I do expect the Jags offense to bounce back, specifically through Trevor Lawrence in the passing game. We mentioned Jordan Love passing yards. He could throw 2 at home. I like that number. I also, low-hanging fruit, it's Dak Prescott. You're going to get a 60% return on that. He's been money. Another low-hanging fruit here, Tommy DeVito to throw a touchdown. If you are a sicko, have fun with that one. Also, Bryce Young just needs 1. I don't mind it. But obviously the big one here is Tua. If you just want to, it's pretty low, guys. It's a 50% hit, but I did like that one. And then any other random touchdowns you want to throw out just in case? I think
you had some love for James Conner this week. Why don't you talk on that?
James Conner, man, in his time with Arizona, it seems like he scores a touchdown every single game. He got back last week, 16 carries and like 76 yards. He got the rust knocked off. He's in the groove here. And I think Kyler Murray has inspired all of us that like, hey, like he's back. Like the way that he was running around and moving, I'm very opportunistic for this offense going forward. Houston, man, like in the past, they've never really been a good run defense. And I
Mhm.
just think James Conner, man, if he gets his 15 to 20 touches, he could fall into the end zone. Any other touchdown bets for you that you want to mention?
We don't like the game, but I will say we talked about doing the double dip Jerome Ford Kareem Hunt touchdown. Those odds are both really good. So I think we like the Browns to maybe rush for one touchdown.
Yeah.
And if it's not Ford or Hunt, who is it? So
Yeah.
you're kind of hit. That's a nice hit if only one of those hit. If both of them hit, you're great, obviously.
And then I just traded for Derrick Henry this week, guys. It's plus 170 for him to play where I believe I know he's from Florida. I don't know if he's from Jacksonville specifically, but I know like when he was in high school, Jesse, he played at the Jag Stadium for his, the state high school, whatever. So the vibes are there for Derrick Henry at Jacksonville. Plus 170. That's such a good number. So I'll mention that. But anything for the people before we get out of here?
It should be a fun week. I mean, there's a lot of blowout, a lot of like really high, favorites here, road dogs and such. But we get good Monday Night Football. I'm really looking forward to the Chiefs Eagles game. Should be, potential Super Bowl game right there.
I did want to mention the Sunday Night Football is not bad. The Broncos are playing good football, and Josh Dobbs. I think everybody wants a piece of that pie right now, and maybe the return of Justin Jefferson. So like Vikings Broncos doesn't sound good, but I think it's actually going to be good TV. So fun weekend here. We're probably not going to do a prop show next week. Jesse's going to be traveling to Tahiti, so no prop show with Jesse. I'm probably going to post something. I'll get something up on the board. Maybe I don't want to bother you on your thing, but if I send you a list, maybe you could, or you send me a couple bets you want to throw on
Yeah,
the
maybe
list.
I'll pick three
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, we'll get that figured out. But thank you guys so much for your time. Let me know if you guys like this new format we've been doing, where we kind of just present the bets that we've chosen instead of talking like 8 minutes per game and just kind of rambling. So I think we like it. It's quick information for you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Good
Peace.
luck this week.